This is our nuclear probe design project. I'm Carl Drubish. With me is Will Glass, Marco Dane Raymond, and Zach Miller. The first component of our engineering design process was the research component. We did some research first into how nuclear reactors work, and they operate in essentially the same way as coal-burning power plants. A chain reaction in the reactor core heats water to steam, which then spins turbines and creates electricity. The second part of the research component was into Cherenkov radiation, and that's responsible for the blue glow that you see in the picture. This is actually what our probe was measuring. This happens when charged particles move through a medium, water in this case, at speed which is faster than the speed of light in that medium. And this, as I said before, this radiation is what our probe measured and then used to measure power output. The second part of the design process was the design component. We did this initially in the library where we sketched a rudimentary version of the probe, which you see in the picture on the right. And essentially what it was a piece of PVC pipe with a glass box on the end. There are multiple photoresistors in the glass box, and wiring run up the PVC pipe to the multimeter that we used. This design was essentially scrapped in favor of a new design that will be discussed later.
The next stage of the engineering design process was the creation component. As you can see on the right, we are developing and creating our nuclear probe at the Sullivan Lounge. We used electrical gray conduit with multiple wires running through the pipe connecting to several photoresistors at the end that would be cased by a glass box, which was scrapped for various different reasons. We thought it would be the best design as the light absorption would come from the bottom as well as the sides. However, our probe yielded no results due to the fact that the box leaked and the wiring job was poor. The box leaked mainly because it was damaged in the process of the transportation from the lounge to the lab. The engineering design process component that was following the create step is the improve step. In order to improve upon our nuclear probe's design, we had to revisit the old design and figure out why what we had was wrong. A major component that we needed to fix was the glass box we used to cover the photoresistors. When it was submerged, it began to leak. We ultimately decided to scrap that design and go back to the brainstorming stage of the process, in which we determined that a plexiglass shield over the resistors at the bottom of the pipe would be a better idea than a glass box. The implementation allowed us to have a successful trial at the nuclear reactor and place second in FEDD.
So, certain things that we could have done differently while conducting our project was using a more effective casing for our photoresistors. On our first trial, one of our first casing did break, and that really took a dent in our project. A second thing was, instead of using one photoresistor, we could have connected several in a parallel circuit. That would more than likely have improved the accuracy of our data and given us a safety net so if one of them broke. Our first test did fail because our casing was not waterproof, so that's another thing we had to keep in mind when redesigning our project. Some advice that we have for future freshmen, keep things simple. That's often best, and if things go wrong, you aren't too complicated, so you can, easily change things out and fix it. Secondly, don't panic if you don't get readings on your first test date. That's all part of the FEDD, so yeah, don't panic if you don't get good readings. Thirdly, make sure to test your probe before bringing it to the nuclear lab, therefore ensuring that it is waterproof and that you can get readings from it, so you don't just end up at the test site and not get readings and just a waste of a day. Above all, try to have fun with it.
At the actual FEDD Day competition, our group managed to place a phenomenal second place. A large majority of the actual competition was being able to get a good reading with the probe, and ours turned out to be 2.47% within the actual value, which is one of the best readings of anyone at the design day. We also were able to meet many of the other criteria laid out for the probe, such as using a piece of PVC pipe and ensuring that it was waterproof. Of course, as we said earlier, our first design wasn't waterproof, but our second design was, so we were able to meet that requirement. That's all we have. Thanks for watching. And here are our references.